Welcome to the Impact Revolution, Ricky Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really good to have you with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I like to ask first a couple of questions that are personal, just to for the
Sure.
people, for the audience to know you better, and then
Okay.
later we can go to the professional, more experience-based questions. That's okay?
Sounds fine.
Okay, great. So the first personal question will be, Ricky, someone who really admires you or highly respects you and knows you really well, how will
Mhm.
define who is Ricky Smith?
Oh my gosh. First of all, anybody who admires me and looks up to me, I always tell them the same thing: aim higher. They would probably define me as fun, funny, loving. They would define me as probably
Uh-huh,
someone that they can count on and lean on for advice,
uh-huh.
friendship, and wisdom. I have my moments, so.
Okay, great. All right, thank you so much. Yes, so fun, loving, reliable, right? That they can trust you.
Mhm.
That's good. That's good. And now the second one that maybe you responded before the interview, but anyway, I
Mhm.
will ask you anyway.
Sure.
If you could wake up anywhere in the world tomorrow, where it would be, Ricky?
Ireland.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ireland is my one of the places I really want to go and work and live. But then I also have a dream trip. I want to go to Alaska.
Alaska, all right, that's cool.
Yeah. Mm.
And why Ireland? Because I was curious about this, Ricky.
Yeah. It's long convoluted story, but it is an leader. Believe it or not, is an ancestral land for me. My ancestry leads back to Ireland, and so of
Oh,
course I've never been there, and I would love to just go.
and how did you find out this ancestor thing? Did you make
Oh my
any?
gosh. So it's the coolest story ever. So I went to a family reunion, and
Okay,
at my family reunion, there are a lot of people that look like me.
all right,
And
nice.
we did an ancestry DNA, and they did not read it before they
All
opened
right.
it in front of 300 people. And come to find out that we are descendants from a traveling Irish doctor who fell in love with a free black woman and made babies.
Wow, are you kidding me? Like they can track so
Mm,
and how long was that? How many years was that?
I want to say 1860 something. We
1860
have a
something.
whole, and it spawned such a huge ancestry dive. People were trying to find out who we were and where we were from, and we found the
Uh-huh.
Irish doctor. His name was Dr. McCutcheon, and he fell in love with our freed black woman. Her name was Mariah, and 5 babies later, here I am.
Wow, all right, nice. So it tracks, so this ancestor DNA test kind of thing, it
Mhm.
tracks up to like 2 centuries almost, yeah? Kind of thing,
Oh
yeah?
yeah, it goes back as far as it can, and depending on the
Mhm.
DNA that you send in,
Uh,
it tracks it through there. So it was really neat, and it was
right.
What it was African ancestry, and it was
Uh,
just so interesting. And at that moment,
uh,
the family reunion took a whole nother turn.
Sure, definitely. I love that. I love that. I was always curious about this because I look like
Mhm.
Latin American, but my father
Sure.
is Japanese and my mother is Spanish. So, and
Oh,
Spain was also conquered by the Arabs for 7 centuries. So I
yeah.
wonder, where are my ancestors from? So
Sure.
I love
Yeah.
this. I
And
love
it's
this.
so interesting because, as an African American, people just naturally assume that you, your family, and yours came from slavery type deal. So it was
Uh-huh.
interesting to find out that part of my ancestry, there's a, on one side, we were never slaves. So it's interesting.
All right, nice, sure. Yeah, I think everybody nowadays is mixed, right? So who knows
Oh,
where
yeah,
we are coming from? So like, yeah,
exactly.
it is definitely like this, I think. All right, great. So now let's ask for the business or experience questions.
Mhm.
And before that, I wanted to see what impactful message would you leave to the world if you were to
Mm.
die tomorrow, Ricky?
Wow. Live, play.
We lost you a bit there. Live, live, play.
You know,
Uh,
life is so incredibly short. Live your
Sorry,
life.
Ricky, I lost you there for a
Oh,
minute. I don't know if it was my
okay.
connection. Yeah, you say
Okay.
live and play. That's where
Yeah,
I
live, love, love, and play.
live,
Yeah.
love and play. Okay,
Yeah.
I
Life is
love that.
short. Enjoy.
I totally agree with that. All right, great. And related to that, then,
Mhm.
Ricky, how do you apply this message in your life?
Yeah. I am one of those people, I love experiences. So
Hmm.
I go out and find them. I meet people on purpose. That is another thing. You have to be very purposeful in where you're going, what you're doing, and who you're with. So I meet people on purpose. I go places on purpose. I look for experiences in my life. There are
Uh,
positions and jobs that I've had that the only reason I had them is because I thought they were fun. And as soon as they stop being fun, I'm on to the next thing.
all right, great. And okay, do you have any favorite example that you could share with us?
Oh, tons of them. I went to a cavern just because it was a hole in the ground. I'd never been there before. Where I live,
Uh-huh.
we have a thing called Carlsbad Caverns, and you hear about it all the time. And I'd never been there, and so I went by
Uh-huh.
myself. I do
All
lots of
right.
things by myself. I love museums. I love architecture. I'm a big history fan, and so I try to find things on purpose that I think are
Uh-huh.
going to be incredibly interesting or enlightening or something that I can use later to share with somebody else.
All right, great. I like this enlightening word that you just say, and I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to ask you in relation with that, what was your moment that you may have so far, Ricky?
I lost you a little bit that time. Ask me again, please.
I lost you there. I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, yes. Yeah, what you saying?
You asked me a question and I didn't get it.
Ah, sorry. So, what was the maybe you know? Okay. Okay, Ricky, I lost you for a minute. You back.
Yep, I'm
I'm
back.
glad. All right. I was asking you, Ricky, is you
Mhm,
say that you do these things, traveling and all these experiences just to get
mhm,
enlightened or to know more about you, I suppose,
mhm.
right? And I wanted to
Sure.
ask you, do you have any favorite self-realization or enlightening moment, or what was that, if you would like to share with us?
Oh, sure. When I lived in New York for a while in Rochester, New York, it's a big, big cultural hub, believe it or not, and people may not know that, but
Uh-huh.
wandering around some of the older towns where Susan B. Anthony lived and where Frederick Douglass is buried, where some things went on in American history that very few people either remember or even bother to look up. As I was walking through Susan B. Anthony's house,
Uh-huh.
I
All right.
realized that there are places that I need to be. There are things that are hard that I need to
Mm.
probably do.
Uh-huh.
And regardless of what it is, I need to do it afraid.
Mm. Mm-hmm. All
Because when you
right.
look at, some of the things that Susan B. Anthony did, never did you ever read that she was
Uh-huh.
brave, but she
Okay.
was determined.
Uh-huh. She was determined, eh? I
Yeah,
love
she
that.
was determined. Yeah.
All right. And related to that, after that experience, and what you do nowadays in your life, what is your
Mhm.
why, Ricky? What is your purpose?
Yeah. Wow. My purpose is to share, is to help others find their stage. That's what I call it. Life, you've heard that saying that all of life is a stage. Well,
Uh-huh.
everyone isn't on everyone's stage. So I believe one of the things I'm supposed to do is help individuals find their stage, their platform, their voice, find the
Find their
thing that
stage.
they are passionate about.
I love that, yeah. Find their stage, yeah.
Hmm.
Very good. Thank you so much. This is very
Sure.
interesting. I like it because I think we have a quite similar mindset in many
Mm-hmm.
ways. Ricky, I wanted to ask you, now that you're working for Stratus, right, which is
Mm-hmm.
a coaching training company for
Mm-hmm.
executives, I'm curious about how or what are the most effective ways that you think or you have found so far in order to provide this EQ, emotional intelligence education,
Hmm.
yeah, that lasts long. Yeah, because
Right.
sometimes we do workshops, right? I'm a coach
Hmm.
myself, and the effects of those workshops maybe are very short, or even a few days or few hours that are
Sure.
maybe are motivational. So yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
Hmm.
What is
Yeah.
your view, please?
I find, when we're doing these things, as coaches and as a corporate trainer, one of the things that I do is I ask really hard questions. Now,
Hmm.
and I don't mean hard questions like arithmetic. No, these are hard questions that are introspective. You have to
Hmm.
answer them for yourself, and everybody loves that question. So, what is your why? Which is, it can be a really hard question, but something harder still is, how do you apply it?
Mm, definitely, yeah.
Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us, we do what we do and we're good at what we do, and we may even know why we do it. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you apply it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you take what you're doing and go forward?
Mm-hmm.
And then another really hard one is, who is it for?
Mm.
You
Yeah, I
know,
like that one. Mm-hmm.
with what you're doing, who are you doing it for? And what is your expectation of that thing? So for me, in that, I try to hold up a mirror, if you will, to some of my clients
Mm-hmm.
and say, look in this mirror and don't
Uh-huh.
walk away and forget who you are.
Mm. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much. And what are your biggest lessons learned so far about business and about, emotional intelligence? That is your field as
Yeah.
well.
Wow. Being a corporate trainer can be difficult because there's so much information out there, so much that people
Mm-hmm.
need to know and that you want to share. One of the
That's
biggest
right.
lessons I've learned for me personally is, I
Yes.
don't know everything.
Yes, for
And
sure.
so, as much as I give, I get back just the same, from some of my clients. Being
Uh-huh.
a lifelong learner really
Yes.
helps you do that. It keeps you humble, it keeps you grounded. It keeps you from thinking that you've, scaled the mountain, reached the plateau, and there's nothing else to learn. That's just not true.
When I think, well, at least in my experience, when we think like that is when we hit the biggest wall,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we get hurt really bad.
Hmm.
So
That's
yeah, I
right.
totally agree about this lifelong learning. And regarding
Hmm.
that, what
Hmm.
is your favorite way of learning, Ricky?
I, you know, as you grow and learn, and as you see things, you learn that you learn differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am an experience based person, I,
Uh-huh.
I want
Yes.
to I want to immerse myself in it. I want to see it, touch it, smell it. I want to wear it. So
Yes.
that is how I learn. But understanding also that everybody doesn't learn like me.
Sure.
And
Uh-huh.
so, being a good corporate trainer, I have to kind of understand that and then go forward and find different avenues to train and teach my
Uh-huh.
clients.
All right.
So because some of the lessons that we're doing, whether we're doing leadership, speech and presentation, whether we're doing customer relations, the information is exactly the same, but
Mm-hmm.
the perception of that information is what is different.
That's right, yeah. And the way that people get the same information is different, right? All
Exactly.
right. When you
Hmm.
say experience-based learning,
Hmm.
like, do you have any example that you could provide with any skills or knowledge that you may
Sure.
have gained recently?
Hmm.
Or, yeah,
So like I said, we do corporate training, and we do training for small businesses as well.
yes.
So imagine, if we will, you're in a room full of executives.
Uh-huh.
They all know what they know, and they've been knowing it for all their whole life. And here I come, and I'm going to tell you something that you know in a different way. So here are Nerf guns, and we're going to talk about customer service. Or, here is this card. Come up here and tell me what this card says, not to you, but what it says to them. So we do a lot of very experience based. I need you to stand up. I want you to move around. I want you to practically apply the lesson that we're learning.
Uh-huh.
We have a
Nice.
game that we play. It's really fun, and I play it on my show, and it's called This or That. And basically, we ask people questions, and it's
Uh-huh.
super simple. It's either this thing or this thing. But then we ask the person in front of them, why did they choose that?
Mm.
And what this does is makes you look at them and try to understand if you will put yourself in their shoes. Because we
Mm-hmm.
choose things based on how we were raised, what we believe, what we think, what we've seen, what we've experienced. And if
Yes.
you, as an executive who wants to build a strong, resilient team, if you don't know your team members, you're never going to succeed in that goal. So we try
Nice.
to help folks learn each other by asking simple questions, but in just a different way.
All right, very good. Yes, so like asking questions and then later on l- like visualize that experience and then
Mm-hmm.
to kind of call this empathy that may be required for them to
Yeah.
understand why
Yeah.
the people
EQ is
do
still
what they do.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right, good. Do you have any favorite or your clients have any favorite exercise or this kind of ones that you just
Um,
explained?
I think one of the favorites has to be the public speaking part.
Okay.
We take these, we take cards that little kids' flashcards. You know, when
Okay.
you're in elementary school and they have the little, this is a ball, this is a soldier on them. And we write down on the cards words that they cannot say. And
Um.
they have to stand up and
Uh-huh.
explain what's on this card without
Uh-huh.
using the most obvious words. And
Ah,
it's a
nice.
lesson in communication.
Mm, okay.
So if I told you, like, say, Yoshi, here's a rocket ship. Now
Uh-huh.
describe it to them. Oh, by the way, you cannot say fly, sky, or fast.
Or Elon Musk.
Exactly. Or Sir Branson, you can't use any of that. So
uh,
how would you then go ahead and
uh,
explain to them what you're looking at? Because
uh,
as executives, you are the one, you're responsible for the vision
uh-huh.
for of your team. You're responsible for the direction that we're going in. And if you're not giving clear direction, how does your team know where we're going?
Definitely, yeah.
So
And that
communication is
happens, yeah.
key.
Totally. Obvious
Mm-hmm.
word. All right. Communication. Yeah, it's key. All right. And what else will you be, or do you think is worth? Because I agree this communication, leadership skills are really necessary. And
Mm-hmm.
this channel is for startups and entrepreneurs mainly,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
also for business executives as well, Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask, what would you recommend specifically
Mm-hmm.
to startups and entrepreneurs about
Mm-hmm.
what you have learned in your experience
Mm-hmm.
so far?
Okay. Um, for entrepreneurs, first of all, God bless you. What you're doing as an entrepreneur is not easy and it's not
Hmm.
always fun. But because of the determination and the desire in your heart, that's why you're out there. So, first of all, yay to entrepreneurs. For you all that are startups, don't stop. You're not going to be a startup forever. And my favorite word in startup is up. Keep moving. One of the things that I have learned is that, not just knowing your why, understanding your why. Don't just,
Hmm.
who are you doing this for?
Hmm.
And what is your reasoning? Where are you going with this? It's important also to surround yourself with great people because, like I said earlier, you don't know everything, and it's
Hmm.
okay. It's okay if
Yes.
you don't know everything. You know, I think of when we were in college, and you had all these things, and you thought you had to memorize everything, only to
Uh-huh.
find
Totally.
out that when you get out into the world, you don't have to know it. You have to know where to find it.
Mm.
So that's the biggest thing. Surround yourself with great people.
Hmm.
Tap into what others know because what they know can help you grow. Ooh, I
Yes.
like that. What they know can help you grow. Write that down. I'm using that.
Well, then, definitely. Yes. Actually, I totally agree with that, and I think now, especially this is true more nowadays, since
Hmm.
there is so many things to know and everything is so
Oh yeah.
global, and there is so much people specializing in different subjects or skills or markets, even, right?
Hmm.
So
Right.
the collaboration is something that has to come, you know,
Yeah.
uh, almost mandatory, I will say,
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
future. It will be impossible to know everything, and nobody will know
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
And it's
so
impossible to do it on your own. And I think that's
uh-huh.
where we can kind of get caught up. We forget that someone's done it before you and someone's going to do it after you. You
Hmm.
don't have to reinvent the wheel, someone's already driving on it.
Yeah,
So
I like
find
that.
those people who've done it before you. Surround yourself with smart people, get trainers, find yourself a good trainer that can come in and help you and help your team.
Uh-huh.
Mindset is incredibly important. Sometimes when you're an entrepreneur and a startup, you feel like you're on an island by yourself.
Mm,
You're not.
totally. Yes.
You're not. And everything doesn't cost a mint. There are things that you can find and buy and invest in that does not cost all of your startup money, but it
Hmm.
will help propel you forward. So invest
Hmm.
in you, invest in your company, invest in your idea.
Hmm. Hmm. Totally. Invest in you, yeah.
Hmm.
Totally, I like that. And regarding this help collaboration, I would say mentorship, right? I think as well
Yeah.
I think is the right word, or could be
Yeah.
the right word used here. I wanted to ask you,
Hmm.
Ricky, in your experience, what are the best or most impactful mentor or mentors that you had, and how did they support you
Hmm.
and make you
Yeah.
grow?
Wow. I've been so incredibly blessed with amazing mentors and coaches. The
Hmm.
understanding the difference between a coach and a mentor is one is paid. Anyway, but the different other thing is that, your mentors are there to set you up with opportunities, to show you a path that you may not have seen yourself. And it's
Hmm.
not so much that the mentor is doing, but you have a responsibility as well. Don't
Hmm.
ever say you want a mentor, but you're not willing to do what it takes to go to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next level.
It's a two work or two side work, right?
Yeah,
Totally.
it is. It
Hmm.
is that double-edged sword. But and be cautious of who you want to mentor. Just because someone is above you doesn't necessarily mean that they would be a
Uh-huh.
good mentor for you.
Hmm.
Like as picky as we are with our clothes, we need to be just as picky with our mentors.
Hmm.
you know
Totally.
Find
Totally.
somebody that's going in the direction you're going. Find someone that speaks to your same core values. There is nothing worse than saying you want someone to mentor you because they are at this particular level, but they literally go against everything you think, thought, or
And you
believe.
believe, yeah, definitely. I
That's
totally
a
agree with that.
bad relationship. That is a
It
bad
is. It's
relationship.
a constant conflict, I will say, yeah, and
Yeah,
arguments
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
misunderstandings, and there is no
Yeah.
way to work in the
No,
long
that's
term for
hard.
sure. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any person that comes to your mind? Your
I
favorite
have
one?
so many people that come to my mind. It is a stinking shame because I understand this about relationship. Relationships are everything. So it's up to us to
Uh,
foster good ones.
all
And
right.
because
So.
I am an experience-based person, I look for people with different experiences than me.
Mhm.
A lot of my first time coaches that I had when I started my business, um, man, they challenged me so much. Yoshi, they challenged me to the point where I thought, you know what, forget this. I'm never going to do this. But they didn't let me stop. They pulled me out of my own head and
Uh-huh.
pulled me into a place that I was supposed to go. So, do I have people that come to mind? Oh my gosh, yes. I would hate to start naming them because I know I would forget somebody.
Sure. All right. So
But yeah.
actually, I'm not that interested in the names on the people.
Uh,
It's more on the way that they have encouraged you and they made you grow, right? So one
mm-hmm.
of the things that I think probably they share, and I don't know if you agree with me, is that they challenge you, right? And what else would you say? It could be helpful for mentors to have helped you, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, so for the mentors, I would say this: do not be afraid to challenge your mentee.
Mm-hmm.
They came to you
Uh-huh.
for a reason,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
so
Uh-huh.
challenge them.
Challenge them.
Um,
Yeah.
a good mentor is also going to look for opportunities for their mentee.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes, that's
open
right.
doors for them. You know, and
Uh-huh.
if you have a mentee that is really interested in doing the work, don't just open the door for them. Kick them through it.
That's right, yeah, because sometimes we are afraid to take this unknown path,
Yeah,
and that's where the mentor say, just do it, and
just do it.
take the smallest
Yeah,
step that you can do it, and just
yeah.
get through it. Yeah,
And
that's right.
that's what's important. Mentors are
Uh-huh.
great for opening the door for you, but sometimes you cannot stop there.
That's right.
Because I, as a mentee, may be afraid, thinking that I can't do it, even though blah blah blah. Open the door and kick them through it. Because I tell some of my clients sometimes that the mother bird doesn't throw the chick out of the nest because she hates it. It's because she knows it can fly.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that metaphor.
Mm,
Very good. We are almost at the end of the interview, and
mm.
we'd like to ask you just a couple of questions.
Sure.
The last will be something that I may have asked you a bit in a different way before,
Mhm.
but I will just want to make sure what will be your last impactful message, Ricky, to let's say the start as entrepreneurs nowadays.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, for the entrepreneurs and startups, good for you. Surround yourself with good people.
Hmm.
You are not by yourself. And
Yeah.
invest in good relationships and invest in a good coach or mentor.
All
There are
right. I love.
programs out there to help you level up, help you to succeed, help you to go forward. Do not sit back thinking you have to do it by yourself.
Hmm. I like that. Yeah. Invest in relationships. Yeah.
Mhm.
And coaches and mentors.
Yeah.
Mm, I love
Ooh,
that.
and the other, the word that people don't like, the N word. That's right, y'all. Networking. Get out there and start networking.
That's right. Yeah. There is
Let
no other
people
way
know
to
what
do
you
business.
do.
There is
Let
no
people
other
know
way.
that you're available. Let people
Uh-huh.
know what you have to offer. And it's a great way to build some relationships as well.
Uh-huh. All right. Great. I wanted to ask you, this is a bit of personal advice, something that I wanted to ask you from the beginning when we
Sure.
discussed out of the interview. It was
Mm.
about the military. Yeah, I highly respect the military kind of background
Uh,
people
mhm,
because I believe I don't remember now the name of this person. It was interviewed by Tim Ferriss in the Tim Ferriss
mhm,
show.
mhm,
I think it was Joko Knowledge, or I don't know, I don't remember. But he said
mhm.
something like he was in the biggest military on the Navy in the USA.
Oh, wow.
And he said something that like discipline is freedom. Yeah.
Mm,
And I believe in that. Like I'm a coach as well, and I practice my word or my thought.
mm,
Let's say I word
mhm,
my thought. So I wanted to know how did this military education that you have from your
mhm,
parents have
mhm.
helped you in your life in any way in that
Yeah.
kind of sense. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the military. So for all the military members that are watching, thank you all so much for your service. Both
Yes.
my parents were in the Air Force. My husband and I are both in the Army. My oldest son is retiring from the Army in the end of this year. So we're a huge military family.
Yes.
How that has helped, it changes, for me, it changed my worldview growing
Mm,
up from a very young age. We traveled all over the country, all over the world, and it changes your worldview. It helps you see people as individuals, not as an aggregate of a thing. Everyone
uh-huh.
is not exactly the same. Another thing that it did for me is it helped me to build relationships quickly
Uh-huh.
because for me as a military kid, I was only going to be someplace, 2 to 3 years, and then I'm done because it was time
Uh-huh.
to go to the next wherever. So building relationships is important to me, and I've learned to do it well, not
Uh-huh.
realizing then, but now I understand. I've been networking since I was 8, you know. You go
That's
to a
why you
new
probably
school,
are a very good coach. Probably, I'm sure for
who
that,
knows?
Ricky. Yeah, you are easy to connect, I will say, right? In an emotional
Yeah.
level, and you got the
Hmm.
skills through experience, as you say
Yeah,
before.
exactly.
So that helps you
Yeah.
probably for sure. Very good, very
Hmm.
good, Ricky. Anything else would you like to share?
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun.
No, it was my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Ricky, for sharing with us all this information. Was very useful. And yes, I will catch up with you now. I have to check the
Yes.
notes. And that's
Okay.
all. Thank you so much,
All right.
Ricky. All
Thank
right,
you.
I got that. So.